Okay, let's dive into something that touches on technology, sustainability, and one of the biggest challenges we face today, housing. We're talking about homes that are built in a factory.
I mean, it's a huge question, right?
We're always hearing about housing shortages and the crisis of affordability. But what if the answer isn't just about finding more land, but about completely rethinking how we build our homes? So let's get into it and see how building a house in a factory might just be one of the most important ideas in housing right now. First things first, let's get our terms straight. You're going to hear the term prefabricated construction. Think of that as the big umbrella. It covers pretty much everything, from a single wall panel built somewhere else to an entire house that just needs to be pieced together on site. That's the core idea. Build it in a controlled environment, then assemble it where it needs to go. Now, this idea isn't exactly new, but it is having a major moment. So why is this conversation so incredibly urgent right now? Let's zoom out and look at the big picture. This right here is the main driver. Research from Sunai Kim over at Cal Poly Pomona really emphasizes that this isn't just a local issue, it's happening all over the globe. Prefab construction is gaining some serious momentum because it presents a real potential solution to this huge housing crisis by just, well, flipping the whole construction process on its head. All right, this is where things can get a little fuzzy for people, but we are going to make it super clear. You've probably heard a bunch of different terms: modular, manufactured, mobile. What's the deal? Let's break down the two main types of complete factory-built homes. You know, this visual really helps put that umbrella idea into perspective. You can see how you can prefab simple things like components for a roof or even whole systems like wall panels. But what we're really focusing on today is way over on the right, complete building systems. That's where the entire home is built in the factory. And this table, it breaks down the differences perfectly. A modular home, you know, like a standard single-family house or one of those backyard units, an ADU, that's typically put on land that you own and it's set on a permanent foundation. A manufactured home, though, is what you'd usually find in a dedicated community where a developer owns all the land. So a lot of the time, the big difference really just boils down to who owns the land and what kind of foundation it's on. So what about mobile homes? Where do they fit in? Well, this one is surprisingly simple. According to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, HUD, it all comes down to a single date on the calendar. Seriously, if it was built before June 15th, 1976, it's a mobile home. If it was built after that date, it's a manufactured home. That's it. Pretty straightforward, right? Okay, so now we know what we're talking about. Let's get into the why. What are the real practical benefits of building a home this way? Well, the advantages really start to stack up. You're building indoors, so there are no weather delays, which means construction is way faster. Quality control is so much better than on an open-air job site. You waste fewer materials, it's a safer place for workers, and your future neighbors don't have to listen to hammering and sawing for months. It's just a more efficient and predictable way to build. And it's not just about building faster or more efficiently. There's a huge sustainability story to tell here. Turns out building at a factory can be a whole lot better for the planet. Okay, let's geek out for a second on a piece of the tech here. These are called structural insulated panels, or SIPs. The idea is simple but kind of brilliant. It's like a sandwich. You've got a thick core of insulating foam pressed between two structural boards. So this one panel is your framing, your sheathing, and your insulation, all in one shot. And the performance you get from them is fantastic. As the source material highlights, these panels give you way better acoustic and thermal insulation. What does that actually mean for you? It means a quieter home that costs less to heat and cool. It's a perfect example of the kind of material innovation that's making these homes so high-performing. So when you put all these pieces together, the environmental benefits become crystal clear. You've got lower carbon emissions both from the building process and from the energy the home uses over its lifetime. You have incredible material efficiency because the precision of a factory cuts down waste like you wouldn't believe. It's really a much greener way to think about construction. Okay, so if this method is faster, higher quality, and greener, why isn't every single home built this way? It's a fair question. Let's take a look at where the industry is today and what might be coming next. Now, take a look at this. This chart tells a really interesting story. Factory-built homes aren't some new fad. For the last 2 decades, they've consistently made up about 10 to 15% of all new single-family homes in the U.S. So this is a stable, established industry. The real question is, why hasn't it gotten any bigger? The research points to three main roadblocks. First, perception. There's still this old, outdated idea that they're lower quality, kind of a hangover from the old mobile home days. Second, you've got policy. Trying to navigate all the different local building codes and get the right permits can be a real headache. And finally, there's a simple knowledge gap. A lot of developers, regulators, and even homebuyers just don't know much about the process or its advantages. And that brings us to our final question. We've seen all these clear benefits. It's faster, the quality's higher, it's better for the environment. So what's it going to take to get past those hurdles of perception, policy, and awareness? What's the key that will unlock this industry and maybe, just maybe, turn factory-built homes from a niche market into the new standard? The answer to that could honestly reshape how we all live.